Her parents made me sleep on the couch because we weren't married, so I returned the favor, and now she's telling everyone I was abusive. I'm 25, and my girlfriend, she's 26, we've been together for just over 4.5 years now. About a year ago, we decided to move in together. Well, it happened a little earlier than planned. Originally, we were going to wait until she finished her degree, but she had a big fallout with her roommate, so we ended up living together sooner than expected. Our relationship, for the most part, has been solid. We rarely argue, we each have our own interests that we respect and support, and honestly, sharing a space hasn't been much of a hassle at all. The only thing that ever really causes tension is how much she avoids confrontation. To give you an idea, she works part-time as a supervisor, and the people she's supposed to be training are actually getting paid more than she is. It's been over a year since her last raise, which, legally, shouldn't be happening. But she won't say a word about it to her boss or anyone else at work. She just lets it slide. That really frustrates me, especially since she moved into my place and can't contribute financially beyond groceries. I own the apartment, I cover the bills, I pay for our car insurance and gas, basically, I handle everything except groceries, which we split. And with my income, it's been rough. Manageable, but tight. As for her family, I've always had a decent relationship with them. They helped me move into my place a couple years back, and last year they helped her move in too. We've spent every major holiday with them and visit pretty regularly. But there's one thing that's always caused a bit of friction: my beliefs. I'm not religious at all, and they're very Christian. My girlfriend doesn't practice either, though her parents don't know that. Every time we visit, they go a little overboard with the religious stuff, her words, not mine. They constantly try to rope me into prayers or church events, and when I politely decline, they mutter things like, "We'll fix you," in this half-joking, half-judgmental tone. We've always kept our visits short, just a few hours, so it's never really escalated. They live about 6 hours away in another city. My girlfriend moved here around 7 years ago, before we met. But this brings me to the part where I think I might actually be the jerk. A couple months back, we stayed overnight at her parents' house for the first time. Everything was going fine until bedtime. Her mom told me I should go set up the couch for the night. I was confused. I figured I'd just sleep in my girlfriend's room with her. Her room's plenty big for 2 people. But they shut that down quickly. They said, in their eyes, our relationship hadn't reached that level yet. I didn't argue, since it's their house and their rules, but I explained that I've got a serious back condition. I'm 6 feet 6 inches, and I hit that height pretty fast when I was younger, which wrecked my back and kept me from playing the sports I loved. The couch they offered was barely more than a love seat. I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep on it. I offered to book a hotel nearby, either just for me or for both of us. But that made them angry. They said I was blowing things out of proportion and needed to respect their beliefs. We went back and forth for a bit, and eventually they just threw their hands up and told me to sleep wherever I wanted. They weren't thrilled and went to bed clearly annoyed. I was ready to get a hotel, but my girlfriend got upset that I even considered it. So I stayed on the couch. I didn't sleep a wink, and my back was killing me for the next few days. The only upside? I got to watch a few good movies that night. No one brought it up the next day, and eventually we went back home. Still, I couldn't shake the guilt. My girlfriend told me I shouldn't have pushed back while we were guests in her parents' house. And maybe she was right. Fast forward a few months, her parents asked if they could visit and stay at our place. We said yes without hesitation. But before their trip, I gave them a heads up that our couch was too small for 2 people. They were confused. That's when I told them they'd be sleeping on the couch. They asked why, and I said it was because they didn't think our relationship was serious enough to share a bed under their roof, so in my home, I was holding them to the same standard. They didn't take that well. They told me that since they're married, their relationship is more respectable than ours. I told them that being married doesn't automatically mean you get more respect in my house. What matters to me is how a relationship is built and how people treat each other, not whether they have rings on their fingers. They ended the call abruptly, then messaged my girlfriend saying they wouldn't be visiting unless I apologized and got back in the right frame of mind. That led to a fight between me and my girlfriend. She said she agrees with her parents that being married gives a relationship more legitimacy. I told her I see it differently. I think mutual respect, love, and how you show up for each other mean more than just being legally tied together. Now I'm wondering, should I apologize and let them use the spare bedroom? My girlfriend thinks I'm being childish and petty, and honestly, she's not wrong. I know I'm being a little stubborn about it. But at the same time, I feel like letting them come into my home and ignore the seriousness of our relationship is something I just can't accept. They had no issue with us living together, but suddenly us sharing a bed under their roof was a problem, and that inconsistency has stuck with me. I didn't say anything at the time, but it rubbed me the wrong way. Update. So yeah, it's been about 20 days since all that happened. I honestly forgot about it until Reddit autologged me back in and I figured I'd post an update and ask for a bit more advice. I read through the comments from last time, and hearing things from an outside perspective really hit me. It made me realize just how petty and immature I'd been acting. Deep down, I already knew it, but having strangers point it out helped me accept it fully. The next day, I pulled my girlfriend aside, apologized to her, and admitted I was acting like a sulking kid, not a grown man. I even joked that I was behaving like a toddler refusing to share his toys. She laughed at that, forgave me, and said all would be good if I just called her parents next, which was already my plan. So I called her parents, said basically the same thing, owned up to my childishness, and told them they were welcome anytime. They didn't laugh, but they appreciated the apology. They said they'd find another date to visit and reschedule, which sounded perfect to me. So we ended the call on a good note. But here's the thing, reading all those comments and private messages also made me realize something else. I had been brushing aside a deeper issue with my girlfriend, her unwillingness to take initiative. And if I really wanted to marry this woman, it was something I had to bring up and address seriously. I spent a day or two thinking about how to word everything without coming off as accusatory. Then, I sat her down and told her how much I loved her and admired who she is. I reminded her of all the wonderful things she brings into our relationship. I started there, just so she knew it wasn't an attack. Then I brought up the imbalance. I mentioned that if we're serious about building a future together, we need more equality in how we contribute. Right now, I pay for almost everything aside from half the groceries. I also do most of the cooking, most of the cleaning, you get the picture. She didn't take it well at first. She got upset and said it felt like I was saying she didn't bring any value to the relationship. I tried to calm her down and explain that it wasn't about worth, it was about partnership. But the conversation fizzled out. 2 days later, once things cooled off, I brought it up again. This time, things were still a bit rocky, but we actually made some progress. We sat down and began working out a compromise. She said she'd finally talk to her boss about the raise she's owed, and she also agreed to take on more cooking and cleaning, not necessarily more than she was doing before, but more than me, at least. I also asked if she'd be willing to talk to her parents about the whole trying to convert me thing, but yeah, that one's not happening anytime soon. Baby steps, I guess. The reason I'm still looking for advice is because, even after that conversation, things didn't really improve the way I hoped. Sure, she's been making dinner, but it's mostly been frozen meals or something like boxed mac and cheese. When I gently tried bringing it up, offering to teach her some of the meals I usually cook for us, she brushed me off and said, if you don't like it, then you cook what you want. And honestly, that's fair, except I know she's capable of cooking just as well as I can. So something felt off. I asked her if she was stressed about anything, if something was bothering her, but every time she just said she was fine. Same thing when I tried checking in more generally, she just shut me down. No explanation, just cold. It's like she's been emotionally checked out. Our sex life basically vanished too. We used to be intimate every couple of days, but now, since that last post, it's only happened twice. I tried leaning into her love language, which has always been words of affirmation. I've been going out of my way to compliment her, reassure her, tell her I appreciate her, but she barely reacts. Just seems indifferent. I even asked if I said something wrong during any of our talks, or maybe explained things poorly. But again, she said no, flat out. And that left me stuck wondering, what am I supposed to do to help her feel happier in our relationship? She barely even acknowledges me when I come home anymore. Update 2. Hey everyone, it's been almost 3 weeks since that last post, and I totally forgot to update this until I started getting a few messages and saw the post still floating around. So here's what happened. I went ahead with the plan I mentioned. After reading your comments, I realized something important. This relationship needed to either evolve or end. The way she'd been treating me wasn't fair, and the sad truth is, I was letting it happen. I'd basically turned into a doormat, and when you've been with someone for years, it's easy to miss that, especially when you desperately want it to work. So, on Monday the 21st, I started putting myself first. I got up early, made breakfast just for me, and by the time she wandered into the kitchen, I was almost finished eating. She asked why I hadn't made anything for her, and I reminded her, you told me if I didn't like what you made, to cook for myself. She asked why I didn't just make some for her too, and I told her she could handle her own breakfast. And that kind of set the tone. Over the next few days, I just did me. Watched whatever I felt like, whenever I wanted. Signed up for that pottery class without mentioning it to her. Cooked only for myself. Stopped checking in or waiting for her to join in anything. At first, she seemed mildly confused, but after a day or so, she stopped asking questions. It was like she didn't care what I was doing anymore. It honestly felt like I was just sharing a bed with a distant roommate. It sucked. I hated it. But I was hoping it'd be the wake-up call she needed. By Friday, I was emotionally spent. But so was she, apparently. She started throwing snide comments here and there, and by Saturday, every conversation we had turned into an argument. I decided it was time to finally talk, like really talk. That morning, I got up early again and made myself breakfast. She came into the kitchen and just exploded. Yelled at me about whether I still loved her, if I was cheating, how awful I'd been acting, all of it. I didn't say much, I just let her get it out while I quietly finished eating. I'm not sure if staying silent made her calm down or made her angrier, but once she was done, I said we needed to talk. She looked worried, like she thought I was about to confess to cheating or something. First thing I told her was that I hadn't cheated. I'd never do that. Then I opened up about everything, how she'd made me feel over the past few months, how she'd started expecting everything from me without giving much back. I said I loved her, but I didn't feel like she really cared about me anymore. I brought up the way her parents tried to push their beliefs on me, and how she never stood up for me or helped talk it through. We went back and forth, like usual, but this time the fight wasn't explosive, it was just draining. Afterward, I told her I thought it'd be best if she left for a while. We needed space. And God, saying that made me feel sick. I'm not great at letting go. Never have been. She told me I was making a huge mistake. Said I'd never find someone who loved me the way she does. That no woman wants to raise her partner like a child. I tried to explain that I just needed time, not insults, but she wouldn't hear it. So I repeated myself and asked her to leave. She asked where she was supposed to go. I said I didn't know, but if she needed help paying for a hotel, I'd help. She left eventually, didn't ask for money, just walked out. She texted me a few times that night. I ignored the messages until late, then finally responded to say I'd packed her things and she could come by the next day to pick them up. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb after that. Most of her texts were just angry jabs anyway. Sunday morning, I woke up early and packed her stuff like I was racing against the clock, like my landlord was about to do an inspection in 20 minutes. She didn't show up until the afternoon. When she did, she looked shocked that I'd actually packed everything up. Asked if I was seriously going through with this stupid decision. I told her yes. And maybe her realizing this was actually the end made it easier for both of us, because I didn't feel panicked, I just went with it. I told her I'd still be willing to talk if she ever wanted to understand how we got to this point. That turned into another fight, of course. But I told her to just take her stuff and go. She slammed the door on her way out. There were a few things I couldn't pack, some odds and ends still left behind. After everything, I called up a buddy of mine and asked if he could stay at my place for the week, just in case, and he said sure. She came by over the next few days to grab her stuff. That first day, she still had some fight in her, tossed out a few insults, saying I needed a friend to protect me, calling me a coward, stuff like that. But after that, each visit was quiet. No yelling. No words. Just her picking things up and leaving. By the end of the week, things were completely silent. My friend left that Thursday after she'd taken the last of her stuff, and suddenly, the house felt empty in the worst way. I hated the quiet. Even though we weren't texting anymore, something made me call her. She actually answered. I asked her why things had fallen apart like this. She just said she didn't know. She told me she was sorry for everything. Said she wished she'd been better. I told her I wished I had too. Then she asked if there was a chance she could come home one day. I told her I'd think about it. So I did. I went back and reread all my posts. Looked over all the comments from people I didn't even know but who saw what I didn't want to admit. And in the end, I decided my answer was no. I called her again and told her we should end it for good. All she said was, "Are you serious?" I said yes, and then I hung up. After that, my phone blew up with dozens of texts and calls. I put it on Do Not Disturb and didn't answer. That Saturday, her parents even texted me, calling me horrible and saying a bunch of other things I won't repeat. Since then, it's been quiet. A whole week without any contact. I have no idea where she's staying, who helped her pack, or who drove her around those days. I've tried not to dwell on it. I still have a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm sorry I can't answer them for you either. But yeah, it's officially been almost a full week without any contact. And looking back, maybe there were moments when she could have reached out and convinced me to stay. But honestly, she kind of ended things on her own. Update 3. It's been a few days since that last post, and honestly, this whole thing has turned into some kind of digital diary for me. People have been asking for updates, so here we go. I also finally figured out a little mystery a lot of folks were curious about: who she's been staying with, who was driving her around, helping her collect stuff, all that. Turns out, it's someone we both know, an old mutual friend from her school days, someone she knew before we started dating. I've only hung out with the guy maybe 10 times ever, always in group settings. Never really considered him close. I didn't find out from him, I haven't reached out and don't plan to. But one of our closer friends who's still part of that circle visited him and was surprised to see her staying there. The guy actually lives farther away from her school and job than I do, so I really don't get why he's the one she ran to. I don't think there's anything romantic going on, but it's still weird. On a personal note, I signed up for therapy. My first session's in about a week and a half. I also blocked her and her parents after she tried calling again 3 days ago. Didn't even hesitate. I saw her name pop up and immediately hit decline, then blocked the number. Not long after, I learned she's been telling some of our mutual friends that I was emotionally cruel to her and her family, and that I was trying to force her to take on the entire relationship alone. Apparently, the friend she's staying with is the one who helped her escape from me. I found this out when I was chatting with one of our mutuals online. Just casual talk at first, she asked how I was doing. I told her I was focusing on myself and trying to be better. She responded with something like, "That's good. I'd really hope so." That led to a weird pause, then she brought up what my ex had told her. I tried explaining things, but I could tell she wasn't convinced. So I left it alone. Then, just a couple days ago, I got invited to a birthday party at a friend's house, a guy I really like, one of the few mutuals I'm still cool with. My ex is friends with him too, so I wasn't sure if she'd be there. I almost didn't go. But I liked the dude, and I didn't want her to make me miss out on something I was looking forward to. Update 4. Hey, it's me again. Couldn't sleep tonight, so I figured I'd write another update. It was a holiday today, and I had way too much time to think. Ever since she started telling people she had to escape our relationship, it's been bothering me. So I started reaching out to some of our mutuals slowly, carefully. Just steering the conversation toward the breakup, seeing what they'd say. Almost all of them gave the same response. Well, that's not what she told me. At least now, my side of the story is out there. What they choose to believe is on them, but I feel better knowing the truth isn't just buried under her version anymore. I talked to the friend who stayed with me during the breakup. He's one of the few people in my life who was never connected to her. He told me he's got my back, whatever happens. That meant more than I expected it would. So yeah, I went to that party. And to be honest, it went okay. She was there, but she didn't cause a scene like some people were expecting. She stuck to the other side of the room, surrounded by her girlfriends. I could tell they were watching me, probably talking about me, but I didn't let it get to me. I didn't drink much, I was too afraid I'd say something stupid or get emotional and walk over to her. She, on the other hand, got pretty drunk. But even then, she didn't come over. No drama, just distance. The next morning, I got a text from the party host, our mutual friend. He said I wouldn't be invited over anymore. I asked why, and he told me my ex said she felt unsafe at the party because I was there. That being around me made her extremely uncomfortable. That hit me hard. I asked him if she had any actual reason to feel unsafe, if there was any proof I'd ever hurt or threatened her. He responded by accusing me of victim blaming. I told him my side of the story, laid it all out. He just said, "It's best we keep the peace, and you just don't come around anymore." That hurt. A lot. Since that party, I've seen my followers drop on social media. Not like I had a huge online presence, but still, it's noticeable. People are quietly choosing sides, and most of them are picking hers. I've been unfriended by people I've known for years without so much as a message or explanation. She always had more friends than I did. Friends that weren't connected to us as a couple. Most of mine were mutuals. Now I'm left with barely a handful of people in my corner. And the worst part? I still don't know what she's been saying about me. Other than that one friend who told me she was saying I was mean and controlling and that she had to get out, I have no idea how far it's gone. But I've got a feeling it's worse than just that. Honestly, I don't know what comes next.